Let's take a read of this chat. So, Yoshi P did another interview, I guess. Always nice to read these, get a bit of insight. Hey, so that time again, patch lead up time for me to machine translate articles and paraphrase them to give you vaguely correct interpretations of what Yoshi says. This time we have Famitsu and Dengenki. I'll just go through what I personally feel is relevant stuff to bring up. I do see full articles for all context. Alright. Ominous. There's more stuff planned for the gap between 6.55 and 7.0 than they covered at NA FanFest. So talk about it more at the EU one. They need to spread out announcements and stuff since there are 3 FanFests again now. Okay. I mean, that's good because it's a long-ass content drill. Like, we don't know exactly what that means, but... You know, that is reassuring. That's good. Thank God for that. Zero as a character was planned from the start of N-Walk, left as a patch-only thing. One of the first main characters developed through patch content. Different writers write different patch scenarios, though. So they've needed some oversight from Oda and Ishikawa to keep things consistent, I see. Zero must be a more physical fight instead of a brain training fight. The machine translation comes up all the time when talking. These are machine learning translation terms that come up all the time when talking about 14 interviews. The closest thing is that brain training means puzzly. Okay, well that's good. That means it's gonna be a dance, and I really like dance fights. I find them really fun. Like, Golbez was a decent fight, and it was like a dance of sorts, so... That's pretty good. Okay, and, you know, looking forward to the extreme then. Yoshi did have to ask for them to amp it up a bit during production, though. I see. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like... there's nothing wrong with that. Considering, like, it has a fucking... It's gonna exist for, like, a year. Well, a bit less, actually, but yeah. Gives people more time. So that's decent. I didn't realize... Let me change my title a sec. Oops. Oh, man, I am so dumb, right? Okay. They changed up their pre-production process for fights at 6.0. Now section leaders just do a preliminary check where they give feedback about the fight concepts and mechanic ideas. And then a final check once everything is done to make sure it all works and the numbers are good. In the past, leaders were a lot more hands-on with the iterative feedback, which is a huge workload for Yoshi in particular. You see... Oh, sorry, Felix. I mean, I don't know what that helps with, but hopefully it means, like, better designed raid. I don't know. Zeromus extreme feedback was that it was a bit too honest and to amp it up a bit. What the fuck does that mean? Asura will be implemented as a trialing game sometime after JP FanFest. Oh, that's the one that they're releasing for FanFest. People to do at FanFest. Okay. Cool. Kinda be nice if it was just like in the game already, but can't really moan about it being in the game at some point anyway. Yojimbo, back in 19 FanFest was seen as too hard for a FanFest trial due to the situation you're put in. What? Really? The only hard bit about that was the fucking, like, figuring out what the change did. Anyway, so they reevaluated what their goals were for Asura and felt the completion rate was where they wanted it to be this time. I think you can change keybinds. Oh, is it saying that? Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess that's gonna be a bit awkward. But it is a normal trial. Like, you can just play super safe and just move. Surely movement couldn't have gotten that complex. You remember that FanFest players are not necessarily even FF players? Why would you... Wait. Alright, maybe I'm missing something, but why would you not... Why would you go to FF FanFest? If you're not an FF player? Or do you mean, like, you know, skilled players specifically? I'm here as a journalist, might as well try... Oh, you mean journalists? Yeah, but who cares about them? Like, they're fucking bad anyway. Have you seen all the controversies about, like, bad journalists who just don't know what the fuck they're doing, don't learn shit? People go for the con culture. I mean, I guess, but... The guy who talked about builds in FF. I mean, I am like 90% sure that was a ChatGPT generated article. I am like genuinely sure that it was. Like, no one in their right fucking mind writes that. Anyway. The last Alliance raid might be stronger than usual this time. Yeah, okay. Surely. We'll go from, like, Paradigm's Breach difficulty to, like, Puppet's Bunker difficulty. I have a good one, Lo-Fi. Thanks for watching. The hardest part of Alliance raids is always the fucking people itself, so... Both the scenario writer and battle team for Mist of the Realm were made up mostly of younger or newer people. Okay, I mean, that's cool. I think they've done fine. I just find Alliance raids boring these days. Like, they just feel so slow. And, like, empty. Like, barely anything happens in the Nofika fight, for example. It's in, out, forced march, and those, like, tower things. That's kind of it. Aglaya felt way more, like, hands-on. Euphrazine, not so much. You know, these are, like, the 12 gods, man. Like, you'd think they can do a bit more than that. Even within the realms of, like, difficulty. They've adjusted the rewards of Alliance Raid Roulette to be consistent of how much time you'd spend in a given instance to make up for eye-level cheese removal. Yeah, I mean, overall, this is a good change. This is a good change. I think they kind of did this with leveling roulette as well. Before. 24-man once and never again. I mean, it depends on how much you care about gear, right? Can I have a link? Yeah. I saw something posted in my Discord, so I asked for the source. Gear for what content? I mean, people just like having gear for gear, man. I see this argument a lot lately. Like, I just don't agree with it. Like, just because there's no ultimate, it doesn't mean there's no reason to have this. People like doing more damage and things dying faster. People like doing speeds or logs. People like glamour. People like... I mean, you kind of need it for Criterion Savage if you're going to attempt that. People want to have it to make leveling easier next expansion. Like, there's, you know, there's more reasons than just content that requires it. Yeah, like, you know, I really, I see this said a lot, and I just don't really agree. Like, I don't personally get BIS because I'm expecting there to be a use for it. It's just nice having BIS. It's nice having the reward for beating the stuff. Like, sure, it's nice to, you know, be like, okay, I'm gearing up for ultimate, cool, but it's just not always the case. Don't know. Maybe I think about it differently, but it's pretty useful for just other stuff. Like, it's nice going into, like, say the new alliance raid, right? If you have more people with more gear, it fucking dies faster. If you get those in, like, alliance roulette, if you do that, they die faster. Like, it just helps. Time to never touch alliance roulette ever again. I don't know. I mean, I think this change is fine. I used to eye level cheese. Like, I used to do that. But I don't anymore, because it's actually not that bad, just getting, like, some random ass alliance raid. And just doing something slightly different, you know? I don't mind that. Like, if I get, like, an Evilist raid, like, I'm okay with that. If I get, like, a Void Arc series raid, like, that's sick. I haven't done those in fucking forever. Like, the Nier raids are pretty fucking boring, yes, but I don't know. Instead of, like, you know, I mean, like, I've complained a lot, right? But, you know, I do also open my mind up to, like, the small things that just help retain enjoyment. Too late, anyone for the tier? I mean, we talked about this earlier when we were talking about the Criterion interview. I disagree purely based on the fact that alliance raids are very easy. I don't think easy content should drop really good gear. I think the hardest stuff should drop the best gear. Like, and I will die on that hill. I respect that some people care less. I used to be the same when I played WoW, but I was like that because I had less time to play and therefore I couldn't, like, mythic raid a lot. So my priority with, like, EPGP, for example, like, I never got fucking gear. But even then, you could do M+. But nowadays, like, I think the reward should be there. I don't, like, I said this as well. I agree that Alliance Raid should not be weekly locked. I find that annoying. And I think Savage should be unlocked earlier, so we don't have to care so much. So by the time Alliance Raid comes out, you can farm Savage already. But I still don't think the eye level should be beefed up in Alliance Raids. I mean, like, they give you coins to upgrade tome gear. Like, it's another way to get tome, like, tome upgrades. Like, I think that's... It's almost the same thing as giving you Savage gear already. I just think there's a better way while retaining, like, the point of doing Savage. I'm willing to compromise and say they should unlock Savage faster. And the Alliance Raid should not be weekly locked, but I'm not. The point of Savage is ultimate, though. I mean, it's not. Like, we just talked about this. Like, the point of Savage is to have BIS gear. Not necessarily for content that requires it. Like, there are other uses for the gear that isn't ultimate. It's having the best reward for doing the hardest stuff that's current. Like, that's the reward. And then it makes leveling easier next expansion when it's the last tier specifically. Like, Criterion Savage kind of requires it. Right, people want it for glam, people want to do bigger numbers and make other content faster. Like, it's just helpful in a myriad of ways. Why else do X.4 design? Because people get BIS But then they have that, and I'm not saying everyone is like required to then do content that uses the gear, but at least they have it, so they can hit the ground running in 7.0 if they choose to quit. Now, I agree that, you know, the point is different and perhaps not the same, but I don't think it's useless. I think it's a bit disingenuous to say that it's like, it has no use at all if there's no ultimate. Because then, like, what do the ultimate weapons, like what do you use the ultimate weapons for? There doesn't always have to be something higher. That's impossible even for these devs to do. Flex? Okay, but like, why can't you flex Savage gear? If you don't do ultimate, then Savage is your endgame. There's another reason. Flex, hey, I've cleared the tier. Like, okay, no one cares, but no one cares about ultimate weapons either. Like, the point is the same. What you feel is flexible is like completely like subjective. The real answer is that no one cares about any of it. It has show-off value. Alright, I'm about to get real cynical, man. Does it really, though? Does it really? Because that value falls off very fucking fast. Especially once the piloting and the balk clears start. And the means in which people beat it. AKA, like, you know, using lots of third-party stuff. You know, I just don't know, man. Like, you know, I see the point, but, like, you know, like, I don't think that always has to be something higher. Like, having BIS is having BIS. If it doesn't have a select purpose, aka ultimate, people still want to have that. I know, Zolun, yes, same. Why do you even ultimate raid anymore if you have to cheat to finish it? Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm with you on that one. You know, I don't agree with that at all. Or with that method at all. You know, I fucking hate it. I'm not about to start ranting about that again. Let's stay on topic. But the point of Savage, like, besides the personal accomplishment and the prog experience, is always the gear. Once you have that, yeah, okay, maybe it doesn't have the same use for everyone. But at least you have that. And it makes other content easier. And for some, you know, that's as far as they go. And, you know, they're happy when they've got that. And then they quit. Until next year. It looks like normal mode. Well, you know, someone's gonna examine you at some point, no? You know, click someone random. Okay, DSR gear. Not a good example. Whatever, just open my own. You know, they'll look and they'll be like, hey, he's cleared the tier. They're not gonna care. They're not gonna care if you have an ultimate weapon on your back either. Savage is fun. Yeah, I mean, like, that's why I do it every week. You know, I don't hate this tier. I enjoy doing it. That's why I do it every week, as well as it being easy stream content. That people also seem to enjoy watching, because raid is like the big thing to watch on Twitch. For the most part. In terms of FF anyway. Anyway, back to the point. Yeah, like, I think Alliance raids, you know, I'm happy they drop coins. I don't think it should be weekly locked. I think Savage should be unlocked earlier. But I don't think Alliance raids should drop Savage level gear. Just because it's just such incredibly easy content. I just don't think it's deserving of that. Call me elitist. Go ahead, but that's how I feel. I think hard content should have the best rewards. Like, why do you think people aren't happy with Savage Criterion? Because it's fucking rough. The difficulty is, like, contrived as fuck, and it gives you nothing. Upgrade over 2 weeks? I mean, potentially. Anyway. Yoshi and some of development staff. Hang on, so like, we're here right now. Yoshi and some development staff did feel bad at times for changing and removing mechanics for trust support, but felt that it was important in both terms of maintainability and playability in the future, as well as giving a better onboarding process should 4 new players all match into the same dungeon. Okay, I mean, it's interesting they've mentioned better onboarding. You know, now they're thinking about the new player experience. Like, I'm sorry, but the trust support is not a good new player experience. Because you're not playing with real players. It's not teaching you anything. Going in with 4 new players might do. But if it's too simple... You know, they have clearly been working on the new player experience a bit, but the game still does a terrible job of teaching you anything. All the job quests do is just tell you things, and then you forget. Or maybe you don't even read it. There's no test. Where was I? Yeah, you know, I think the game needs a lot of work in that department. Like, I don't think creating a more solo experience is the answer. It just feels like it's turning the game away from MMO. You know? I think trust is really good for longevity of the game, but so even if the game is dead in 10 years, people still enjoy it. I mean, yes. But right now, like during Endwalker, it really started to feel like it was coming at the price of other things. Like at the expense of deeper content for more veteran players. That's what I don't like. Like if they stop doing that, and like next expansion they go back to like more and like repeatable content release, then I'm cool with that. Like, okay, fine. I'm glad they're going back in the other direction again. You know, I realize some of it is for future-proofing. But a consideration has to be made about, like, resources, right? Is this game really an MMO anymore? I mean, it fucking should be. But, you know, I don't like that it's turning away from that. Like, I get what they're doing, but when it seems to come at the expense of other things, it feels bad. Please shush. Shh. Shush. Show cat. I don't want to pick him up off the windowsill. He'll just jump off me instantly. Anyway, trust implementation management was very hard and usually took a skilled veteran on the development team to do. I mean, like, not to be too cynical, but the fucking AI is terrible. Like, I'm sure programming that is not easy. But God, is it fucking bad. Like, you know, I'm not gonna claim it's easy, but trust is just not good. Oh my god. Alright, chat, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to BRB and feed him. He's just being annoying. It's just about that time anyway. I'll be back in, just a few. Bear with me. Then we'll keep reading this. When he gets up on my windowsill and starts meowing, like, he does not shut up. Until I, like, move. Back in a sec. I'm back. Ugh. Right. Water. I need water. Alright, where were we? We're down to here. No concrete plans on making old 8-man content doable with trust. Easier to do trust for 4-man, but so this fight's been made 4-man if it ever happened. But Yoshi feels strongly about having the final boss trials always be 8-man. No firm decisions here yet. I mean, hopefully this doesn't refer to, like, savages and stuff. I don't think it would, because that would be a hell of an undertaking, but... Trusts for the story, like, last story trial. I mean, I guess. Zano and Lakshmi too, yeah. I don't know, man, I mean, I've always said, like, if they ever made, like, Savage, like, trustable, like, that's a red line for me. I'm glad they're, like, drawing a line somewhere. But I still think you should do it with other people. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, like, whatever, I guess. Their data says a huge number of people have engaged in variant dungeons in their own way. I'm sure, like, variant dungeons are cool. I think that part of it is fine. The 6.51 Criterion Dungeon. 5-1. Okay, they're doing 5-1 instead of 5-5. Okay. Will receive an increase in rewards compared to the past two. They will consider feedback on this before determining the 7.x Criterion rewards. Okay, so again, they are addressing the reward structure. Thank God. This is good. This is huge. Thank God. Renon, you carbon a bit. Okay. Said so last time though, nothing happened. Did they? I don't remember reading anything like that. I'm pretty sure they didn't say anything about rewards. Because we were all like, okay, they're just not gonna, like, do anything about it. Yep. Anyway, that's good. Credit where credit is due. They are listening. Thank God. Maybe I will do it. Oh wait, 6.51. If it's early October... Man, that's gonna be out on FanFest week, man. Like, I'm not gonna do it until after FanFest, probably. Very likely, anyway. Depending on when .5 comes out, it's either the 3rd or the 10th. If it's the 10th, like, that's fine. But if it's on the 3rd, I don't know if I'll be able to do it beforehand. Whereas this, it's on Reddit. I'll just link the thread. Yeah, I don't know if how many people are gonna do it though. I don't even know if I'll be able to find people. But anyway, whatever. That's a problem for future me. There will be a title for clearing all 3 Criterion dungeons from 6.x, but they're considering how else they could reward that, see if they can get it in time. Okay. I mean, that's cool, I guess. More incentive to do content that people are otherwise not that fussed with. 3 of the X one. I don't think it will be for the Savage ones, because you already get separate titles for those. I would imagine it's just for normal Criterion. Like, not variant, but Criterion. I think. I don't know for sure, but anyway. 6.55's relic step will be tomes again. Yeah, I mean, like... The relics are just a write-off, man. Like... I should read the next bullet point. They settled on tomes due to looking at data for how many weapons were made by players in past relic content. Yoshi acknowledges, though, that, however, there are some people who say this reinforcement method is sloppy. Yes, it is very sloppy, so it's difficult. Some people may dislike doing elaborate things like old weapon enhancement content, while others may feel the enhancement methods like this one are not enough. I think this is probably not compatible. I mean, like... They settled on tomes as these days playing multiple jobs is much more common, and they think tomes being something naturally accumulates as you play makes it best suit your individual playstyle. But how can you say that and then make gearing so long and painful? What? Yeah, I mean, like, I get content, I get tomes over time just from, like, re-clears and, like, the odd 90 ultimate and, like... Just playing the game, but, like, you know, I'm in a different position to most. Yeah, like, this doesn't make sense to me because the rest of the gearing process is rough. Or rather, it takes too long. I'm glad that they acknowledge that they are saying that they acknowledge that people don't like it. I'm glad that they are listening. I don't know, man. Like, I just don't like the tome idea. It feels lazy. Like, if there was plenty of other shit to do that was repeatable, like, had a grind here and there, like, I'd be less worried about it. But there isn't. So the relics were, like, meant to be that, but now they're not. So now we just have none of it. It's like all or nothing. Yeah, like, you know, they need to balance that better. You know, they're not saying that this tome method is superior. They're saying that they acknowledge that people don't like it. But some people do like it. All I have to do is read my YouTube comment sections. In any instance where, like, relics have been discussed. And, people are very down the middle about it. The main argument is, I don't get to play much, so this is good for me. But it's like, just because something takes you longer, that doesn't make it, like, worse. Yeah, like, it just feeds the entitlement of players that, like, just don't want to work for anything. It's the people that don't like Raid because it has the best stuff behind it, and they think they can be handed it to, have it handed to them for doing nothing. This is another reason I don't think Alliance Raid should have, like, Savage Eye level gear. It's like, people worked for stuff. People who worked for stuff, even if it takes longer, still deserve that stuff as much as those that do it fast. Like, so I don't know, man. Like, I'm genuinely glad they are like they've noticed. You know, I'm like, today has been a good day for this. It's, you know, they've acknowledged Criterion reward structure and they've acknowledged relics like being like sloppy. You know, I'm you know, this is really good. I'm glad we have this communication. This is what I mean with communicating with us more. So yeah, I'm genuinely happy that we're hearing stuff like this. It feels like we're being listened to for the first time in like 2 years. But I think they need to understand that they do have quite an audience of people. It's not a minority of people that enjoy having content to just sit down like and fucking grind away at, because it's not even like the grind was really bad. I did 180 normal raids in Shadowbringers for one of the steps. Okay, yes, it's quite a lot. It's a bit excessive. Perhaps. But it was still more fun than just, oh, I got tomes. Like, you know, that was always something I could do in downtime. You know, if I ever didn't know what to do, okay, I'll just do a few normal raids for this relic. Like, I don't see what the problem was with that. Yeah, you know, I think, you know, like 200 A1S because of the light and like the Atma's drop rate being like terrible way back, you know, like it's a bit much. Like they can buff it a bit. I definitely think there's a good middle ground. Like, exactly, Abdo, yeah. Like, I think there can be a middle ground. I'm not, you know, I don't want like Korean MMO levels of grind. Like, it's not what we're asking for. Especially considering that, yes, they are correct that people want to do multiple relics. That is true. They are not wrong. But in an expansion like Endwalker that's really offered nothing that repeatable for players to really sink their teeth into and make patches last longer than a day, like, I think they should do more about that. Like, the ARR books in their current state are fine. 10 of each mob and stuff, a bit excessive, but 3 is fine. Subsequent relics easier to get with less amount. Yeah, I think it was Xyloon mentioned that earlier as well. Like, yeah, they can make the first relic take longer, but then ones after that can be fast tracked. Like, maybe, yeah. Oh, the co-promote I wanted, sorry. We have so many, man, it's crazy. Yeah, they did. Yeah, you're right, they did. Or alternatively, another big instance, which, you know, I've somewhat changed my mind on. But again, I think that's because there's a middle ground on it now. I didn't like Eureka on release. But in its more nerfed state, where it's not quite as grindy, I think it's fine. Old Dungeons where if you broke the one thing. Yeah, I mean, you know, I like going into just like other content. You know, a lot I know that some say, you know, this is just the fucking hardcore players that just want more raid stuff, want more hard. It's like, it's not about that. If it's fun, it's fun. I don't care if it's hard or not. I do actually like playing this game for stuff other than raid. Yeah, kind of. You know, it's... Courage to leech as it's more efficient than anything you could do with a low level in the zone you're in. Yeah, kind of. Pagos was awful. People were shitting on Blue Mage content because they wanted another ultimate. Yeah, I mean, I just don't agree with that. Like, I don't want another ultimate right now. Blue is more chill, and it allows you to go back into other raids and do them, like, quote-unquote, as intended, but, like, with more stipulation. And, like, it's fun. People like Deedon raids. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, again, I'm happy they acknowledge that they realize some people don't like it. I hope they take that into consideration and sort of create a middle ground. Moving on. Mandeville relics have the highest completion rate of any relic so far. The more elaborate they make the content guide, the fewer people make one. I mean, I don't think this is a good excuse. Oh, well, more people do it. Yeah, of course more people do it when it takes no fucking time to do. But that doesn't make it better. Like, think of your veteran players that enjoyed the older style. Oh no. Just... there's something missing here. Yeah, I didn't feel any satisfaction at all. I don't even care what they look like. I just do it to have one. There is an inherent conflict between people that enjoy weapon enhancement as content and people that want a system that makes it easy to obtain weapons. Satisfying both is very hard. There is a middle ground, man. Like, you did it, you got it right with Bosnia. If people didn't want to do Bosnia, they could do the quests. And a lot of people did Bosnia because it was more accessible than Eureka. They literally got it right last expansion. Or just have a system like one of my complaints that remain about Eureka is that it's the same, basically the same step every single zone. Make them different. Man. Make each step different. Require something different. Do something different. So this is 14. I know, but, you know, these are easy ways to make it more satisfying for both. They at least give people a choice. They will take feedback into account for 7.x's Relic series. Okay, good. You know, I was at peace with it by this point. I knew this was gonna happen. Like, there was no way they were gonna change it up on the last step. Craft a gather relic final set will be difficult but not required for any 6.x crafts. Okay, I mean, I don't do those, so I don't have an opinion on that. How do people feel about the crafter and gather relics? So those of you that did it, how do you feel about them? To me, they just look like a weapon with like a shiny texture stuck on them, but maybe other people feel differently. Could be worse. It's okay. Annoying RNG bullshit. Boring AF. Done them all. It was fine. Mind numbing time sink. Gatherer sucks, but crafting is easy. Okay. I see. Gathering sucks ass, like, as a whole. If you dislike it now, you would have hated it back in, like, Stormblood. Like they've made it way simpler. It used to be like much more complicated. So I mean, I don't know if your complaint is that it's too simple now, but you know they've dumbed it down. I mean, I don't know much about crafting gathering. I don't really do it, so you know I'm hesitant to really give much of an opinion on this. But I mean, they look better than fucking. They look like a bit more engaging than the current like combat relics. I liked it more back then. Okay. I see. My bad then. Fair enough. PvP iteration will continue into 7.x, including CC, Frontlines, and Rival Wings. Like, look, they've got to find a way to keep people doing this, because people are just not gonna give a fuck. Rival Wings will remain dead outside of tome events. Frontlines will remain as a roulette, and that's it. CC is like dropped off a fucking cliff. Like, my personal selfish opinion is that they should leave PvP to rot. But that's a very selfish opinion, and I do not expect many people to agree with that. Because I don't like PvP. Like, you know, this is a very selfish me thing. I readily accept that. I know it's never gonna happen, and you know, I'm at peace with that. But PvP, people just really don't seem to like it, man. Like, add rank decay and CC will be active. Maybe, yeah. I mean, it does rank decay beyond a certain point, no? I think CC's big problem is you can't queue with your friends. Like Eriku said, that seems very strange to me. They could have a solo queue and a group queue. Why didn't they just do both? I do think Rival Wings is a bit underrated. Like, I used to do a lot of it way back in Shadowbringers for tomes. Rival Wings is fun, but it will never be alive outside of tome events. This really doesn't work in a game like 14. Yeah, I mean, like, 14 is just too slow of a game, like, in terms of, like, server ticks and stuff. I mean, like, have you seen the lag in Rival Wings as it is? Like, you get hit despite dodging a fucking AoE from, like, a cruise chaser or something. Like, a second or two before. It's crazy. Queuing for casual with a party, yeah. I think so too. You know, I think there should be the best of both worlds. I don't see why that's difficult to implement. Because right now it sounds like people are just doing like the battle pass or whatever the fuck you call it. And then they're just stopping again. And like ranked is just, I mean, I don't have data for ranked. I don't know, but the only people doing it are the people that just love, or not even love PvP. They loathe PvP actually, but they do it because they're PvP nerds. And you know, they want a PvP, that's the thing. Fuck all to do with trophy crystals too. Yeah, I there comes a somewhat fast point where like you can't even really get shit with the wolf marks as well as the crystals. Like I have everything I want from wolf marks. Hellhound weapons are cool, but that's about it, yeah. I don't know, like PvP is really not for me. I would rather the dev resources went elsewhere, but I know that's not gonna happen, and I'm not mad about that as such. Just so many people have nothing good to say about PvP that it just makes me wonder. I said way back before CC was announced that I think a good way to revive PvP would to be bringing in like a smaller game mode for people to play. Because queuing up 48 people at a time is, like, for Rival Wings, like, it just doesn't happen. The only reason that ever popped on weekends was Discord communities making that happen. It would never pop just by itself. Frontline pops because it's a roulette. Maybe they should make a Rival Wings roulette too. Like, that might work. Maybe. And Rival Wings isn't that bad. Like it's like MOBA style PvP. Rich hopping through worlds, yeah. But that doesn't happen anymore. Probably because PvP communities have constant like internal issues, let's say. I don't know. I think PvP can have its place, but they need to make it not just worthwhile, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't really have the solution for it, but you know, there's just a reason that PvP just always seems to die off. Anyway, moving on. Island Sanctuary will get small updates in 7.0, but there are no plans for that to continue throughout 7.x. Okay. They have other lifestyle content in mind instead. If feedback is different, they might reconsider. So, alright chat, how do we feel about Island Sanctuary? We've talked about it a few times, but same reason every time, netcode cheating and match fixing, yeah. Like, player issues as well, like, they don't seem to do anything about that. Orc, dead, dog, orc, fuck it, garbage, it's okay, spreadsheet, garrisons and WoW are better. Good for free materia, dead on arrival, dog only good patch. Only good patch was the 10 starting levels, true. Didn't like it, not my type of content. Yeah, I liked the concept it presented. I found it relaxing. It was fun to get stuck into, even if I was just hitting rocks at the top of a mountain. The issue was their updating of it was just so bad. It's too linear. There's no identity to it. Like, visit your friend's islands. Like, yeah, great. It looks exactly the same as mine. Like, I guess they're not really, you know, they're not saying why they're kind of shelving it, but maybe that's why. No, I didn't dislike Island Sanctuary. Like, sure, you're spreadsheetable, sure, but like, so is Savage Raid. Technically. Like I don't know. I don't think that's bad because you don't have to follow that. I found Island Sanctuary to be inoffensive. I think it was fine. It was relaxing at times. It was cool to have this sense of progression. They just have not updated it enough. It didn't get enough. The first update went from 10 to 12. Then 12 to 16 with like 1 or 2 new buildings at a time. It's just so like... There's just not enough. Like, maybe they think... Because they kept saying, right, like, take your time with this content. It's like... Like, brother, it doesn't even take that long. What do you mean, take your time? It was either, like, just fill up your workshop and fuck off for a week. Or actively farm and level. And if you do the former, sure, it takes a bit longer. But then you're just... Then it's back to being weekly content. Yeah, like, it's like they just don't realize that people like playing the game and they want reasons to play the fucking game. This is what we've been complaining about for like 2 patches now. Being able to have outdoor furniture items was a step in the right direction, but it just seems like they've given up. I liked what Island Sanctuary could represent, but it's just too linear. It's an experiment that just hasn't gone all that well. Which is sad, really. Like, mine's ranked 16. I kept up to date every single patch. But if you look at my island, then go to another ranked 16 island, they're exactly the same. So I hope whatever they have in mind has a bit more sort of... What's the word? A bit more... It's a bit more dynamic. It's a bit more varied. Yeah, we talked about the relics up here. We had a discussion about that. Allied Beast Tribe Catboy will show up again. Cool. At least they're doing an alliance quest. That's good. There's extra rewards and stuff at the end of that. That's nice. Getting Phil on stage was not easy. Yeah, NPCs don't like moving very much. But Yoshi really wanted it, since Phil was one of Microsoft's biggest advocates for getting 14 on the platform. Okay, I mean, I'm glad. You know, I've had time to think about the whole Xbox thing. The big positive is new players. That's actually, like, good for us streamers. You know, that, like, they might come to our streams, like, looking for, like, help and stuff. You know, that's good for the directory. The negative is the doubling down on, like, console limitations, to use the meme. But, you know, I'm neither for or against Xbox. You know, it could be good for us, it might not. You know, I might just be talking shit, but it could potentially be. Like, good for people like myself. And, you know, more players isn't bad. I am a bit concerned about how the server's gonna handle them. These servers are not the best. But that's why they're adding new DCs and shit, I guess. Like, the new EU one is just gonna be the fucking Xbox DC. I can always guarantee. Has both consoles at this point, right? That's not correct, no. I don't think so. I have a PS4, but I didn't buy it for FF. So I don't have an East Coast host. Yeah, I think... I don't understand why. I find that very silly. Supposed to be the summoner, we've heard nothing. Wait, was? Oh. I mean, the demand will be there in 7.x or 7.0. Probably. Sapro, thank you for 30 months, dude. Welcome back. 2.5 years. Thank you, man. Enjoy the new sub badge. Xbox player's gonna trap in every content that has PlayStation mechanics in it. What's this symbol mean? Somehow I don't think that will be the case. Getting like, I don't know what they mean by getting Phil on stage was not easy. Like maybe that's like a translation thing. Besides the NPC joke. But you know, it should be healthy for the game in the long run. I just hope that it can handle it. Didn't actually want to go on stage. I mean, he's no stranger to being on stage. I doubt that would be the case. Sorry. Wrong hole. God, I can't even drink water, man. There's no hope for me. Holy fuck. Sorry about that. I tried to mute so you didn't have to hear all of that. Anyway, yeah, Xbox, cool. Fall Guys collab will be limited time, periodic content and not a permanent fixture. Why? Why would you make that limited? I don't know. That seems dumb. We're gonna do it though, regardless. I don't know, adding a whole new event to Gold Saucer doesn't seem bad by any means. Well, guys, gonna be limited. Oh no. Anyway, there is wins in here. There are wins. I am a critically thinking person, but there are wins. They are listening about the relics. At least they are listening. They are listening about Criterion Dungeons. You know, there are wins here. I think, you know, that should always be acknowledged. When things are supposedly going to get better, that should always be acknowledged. And I'm not going to sit here and just shit on everything they do. Because I complain because I want this game to get better. And things like that will make it better. I just hope they keep listening. Again, this is like the most communication we've had in like a couple years, man. No, they're not. The next step is still terms. Right, but we knew that was going to happen. But if you read this, like, they acknowledge people's problems with it. You know, like, nothing new was going to happen in Endwalker. Like, we knew the rest of Endwalker was just going to be kind of a write-off in terms of our complaints. But if they're considering it for later down the line, that means Dawn Trail is going to be better. And that's what we want. We don't want Dawn Trail to be Endwalker 2.0. So no, these are steps in the right direction, and I'm not gonna sit here just being critical of things for the sake of it. Like, I don't complain because I love complaining. I mean, okay, I do like complaining, but I don't do that without wanting things to get better. Like, the same when I used to mold about machinists all the fucking time. Now it's better, I don't mold about it anymore. And I'm glad machinist is in a good spot. I think the biggest problem is just how long it takes for feedback to be implemented. We're always left wondering if they know or even listen at all. Except for AoE. But, you know, job trailer coming in like a month. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. So no, you know, there are good things happening here. This is positive. I wish we would see things like this more often. Because then we would know, like, they're listening. I always make this comparison to Blizzard, and you know, like, say what you want about Blizzard. For all their many, many faults, they at least communicate with the player base more than Square Enix do. No way we getting a job trailer in a month. Why not? Well, they're revealing the new jobs next time, or at least one of them. And fixes less. I mean, as I said, many, many faults, but this game could be fantastic if they didn't hit those pitfalls and also communicated with us. Yeah, yeah, I mean, like, just the job trailer and not all the actions and stuff. Ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, this is the thing, though. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But old stuff gets rusty. So anyway, you know, good things said in here. We don't expect fast fixes, unfortunately. I wish things were faster, but... yeah, you know, I say this over and over. I love this game. This game changed my fucking life. Like... I haven't put over 26,000 hours into it for no reason. I haven't begun building a career off of playing the game primarily. Like, I could not do either of those things if I hated the game. And I don't have fun playing it. And so when it's bad, I want it to do better. I know a lot of you guys get this sentiment, but a lot of people don't. And that's annoying to me. Some people would rather just turn a blind eye and pretend nothing is wrong. Maybe for some it isn't, but I think that does the game no favors. If you love something, you will find flaws in it. So yeah, you know, this makes Dawn Trail more promising already. A big thing is obviously the jobs and stuff. we will see what they're doing. But, you know, fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed things will be alright. You know, I think people probably feel the same about things like Destiny. You know? Destiny has gone down a very shit path lately. And people complained. And they complained. And they complained. And they quit the game. And they complained some more. And it eventually seems to have somewhat kicked Bungie into gear. You know? Like, once again, people do not complain because they just want to hate. And, like, you know, take out, like, their fucking issues on something. Like, it's nothing to do with that. Sure, some people might find complaining funny. You know, I would imagine some people enjoy the molding. But there is a purpose to it, at the very least. Anyway, I'll stop looping, yeah, sorry. They didn't listen, yeah, and then they don't for a long time, but then, like, eventually they do, when they realize it might have an impact. It's a lot harder with FF14 because they have a very large player base that doesn't give a shit. But the louder we can make the voices, and not the ones in my head, talking about the shelf. The louder we make our voices, the more they will realize that there is more people than they think that have issues. People stop buying silver. Well, if less people play the game, that is less profit indeed, yeah. It's less people buying silver, you know? Too busy getting stuck in the Balmond quicksand to care? Well, here's the fucking play, man. You do both. You play the game, you mold about the game, and you also go to Balmond quicksand to take the frustration out. It's hard to make one armor set, and so you 5 good-looking ones. Yeah, speaking of that, where's my fucking old ultimate weapons for new jobs? Where is it? My thoughts exactly.